Welcome back to Books on the Mic, everybody. We're on chapter 9 now.
9 already, wow.
I know, right?
Time
It
flies.
really does, especially when you're having fun deep diving into these books. So if you're enjoying these deep dives, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of the future episodes.
Definitely.
And today, we're going to be talking about a book that I think has really changed the way a lot of people think about leadership and success and just, how to make an impact on the world.
Absolutely.
It's Start With Why by Simon Sinek.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, it's a good one. And, I think a lot of you out there listening probably have this book on your list because you're interested in figuring out, well, how do you inspire action? How do you make a real impact, whether that's in your career, your personal life, or just, even understand the world a little bit better?
For sure.
And this book has some really compelling answers.
It does.
I mean, right off the bat, Sinek, he kind of throws you right into it with this story of the Wright brothers versus Samuel Pierpont Langley.
Yeah, the classic example.
Right, and they were both trying to achieve the same thing, build a flying machine. But Langley had all the advantages, money, resources. He had a dream team.
Like the all-star team.
Yeah, he had the connections, he had the funding. The Wright brothers, on the other hand, not so much.
Scrappy.
Yeah, they were working in their bicycle shop, and yet, we all know who ended up succeeding. And it wasn't Langley with all of his resources.
Right, and that's the whole point. It's a perfect illustration of the power of why. The Wright brothers, they were driven by this deep belief that flight could change the world. They were obsessed with the idea, even when people thought they were crazy.
Totally.
Langley, on the other hand, he was after fame and fortune.
Right.
He wanted the recognition, the glory. And in the end, it was that difference in motivation that made all the difference.
Yeah. I mean, it really makes you think, right? Like, what was Langley doing when he saw those Wright brothers actually take flight? I bet he was kicking himself.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's incredible how powerful belief can be when it's like that. It's like fuel,
Totally. And that's where the golden circle comes in.
Right.
This is Sinek's big idea. He says most companies, most people even, they communicate from the outside in.
Okay.
They start with what they do, then how they do it, and maybe if you're lucky, they'll get around to why they do it.
So you're saying most companies start with the what and the how.
Exactly. But the truly inspiring leaders and companies, they flip the script. They start with why. Their purpose, their cause, their belief. And that's what draws people in.
So it's not about selling a product or service.
Nope.
It's about connecting with people on a much deeper level.
On the level of values, shared beliefs.
Exactly.
And that's how you create a lasting impact.
So give me an example. What's a company that really nails this whole starting with why thing?
Oh, there are tons. But let's talk about Apple.
Okay, yeah.
Everyone knows their tagline, think different. But it's not just a slogan. It's ingrained in everything they do.
It's their why.
It is. They even changed their name from Apple Computer to just Apple. A symbolic move showing that they were about more than just computers. It was a statement.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. I never really thought about that before.
Right. It's like they are embodying that belief in challenging conventions. It's about empowering individuals through technology.
And their products are kind of like a way to hold that belief, that why, in your hand.
Absolutely. And that's why people connect with them on such a deep level. It's not just about the gadgets.
It's about something bigger.
Exactly.
So is this just like some marketing trick? Is there something more to this whole starting with why idea?
Oh, there's way more to it. It's not just marketing fluff. It actually maps directly onto how our brains work.
Okay, now we're getting into the science.
Right. So our brains are wired to make decisions based on emotions.
Our gut feel.
Exactly. That's the limbic system at work. And when companies just talk about the what and the how, they're appealing to the rational part of our brain.
But not the emotional part.
Right.
Yeah.
You might get a sale, but you won't create real loyalty or a lasting impact.
So you need to connect with people on an emotional level, on that why level.
Exactly.
To really get them excited, get them loyal. That makes sense. It's like when you think about the products and the companies that you really love, it's usually because there's something more to it than just the product itself.
Absolutely.
There's a feeling there.
The connection.
Yeah, a connection. And you brought up a really interesting example earlier. I want to talk about TiVo.
Oh, TiVo. Yeah, that's a classic case study.
Remember TiVo?
Of course.
I mean, they had this fantastic product.
They did.
Tons of hype when it first came out. But it didn't really take off the way that people expected it to.
Nope. They struggled to cross that chasm.
The chasm.
Yeah, it's this idea from the law of diffusion of innovations. To reach the mass market, you have to move from the early adopters, the tech-savvy folks, to the early majority, and those folks need social proof.
So they need to see other people using and loving the product before they jump on board.
Exactly. They need that reassurance, that validation. And TiVo, for all its bells and whistles, never quite managed to create that.
Interesting.
They focused so much on what the product did and how it worked, but they never really connected with people on that emotional level.
They didn't communicate their why.
Exactly.
So even with a great product, if you can't connect with people on that deeper level, it's tough to reach that mainstream success.
It is. It's not enough just to have a good idea. You have to inspire people to believe in it, too.
Right. And this isn't just about selling gadgets.
No, it's way bigger than that.
Think about social movements like the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he wasn't just laying out policy details.
No, he was a master at communicating his why. That unshakable belief in equality and justice. He connected with people on a soul level.
It wasn't just about the specifics of the policies. It was about this vision of a better future.
Right, appealing to shared values, to a shared dream, and that's what fueled the movement.
Brought people together, inspired them to take action. It's about tapping into something much bigger than ourselves, something that transcends our individual differences.
It's about a shared purpose, a shared why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the most powerful things about this whole concept. When that why is clear and when it resonates with people, it creates this incredible foundation of trust.
It does.
Trust with customers, employees, even between individuals.
It's a glue that holds everything together.
And that trust is essential for building anything that lasts.
For achieving meaningful success, yeah.
I love that.
And that brings us to one of my favorite examples from the book, Herb Kelleher and Southwest Airlines.
Okay, tell me about him.
So Kelleher famously said, "Employees come first. If employees are treated right, they treat the outside world right. The outside world uses the company's product again, and that makes the shareholders happy."
Wow.
And that philosophy, that people first approach, it was at the heart of Southwest culture.
And their success.
For sure. It's amazing how a simple belief like that can have such a ripple effect.
Yeah, it really is amazing. And it makes you wonder how many companies could achieve that same level of success if they just shifted their focus, you know?
Right. Like, what if every company put their people first? It's a powerful thought.
It is. But this whole starting with why thing,
Yeah.
it's great in theory, but how do we actually put it into practice?
Yeah, like how do we figure out our own why or help others discover theirs?
Right. And does the book offer any practical advice?
Yeah. Does it
Okay.
because it sounds kind of, I don't know, touchy-feely, right?
Yeah, I get that. But actually, the book is full of really practical advice, and one of the key takeaways is that it all starts with authenticity.
Okay, so you can't just fake it. Exactly. You can't just invent a why or pretend to believe in something you don't. People can see right through that.
Yeah, that's true. It has to be real, something you actually care about.
It does, and it takes discipline. Consistency. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and lose sight of your why.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But the companies and leaders who really make a difference, they make a conscious effort to keep their why front and center.
Like it's a guiding principle.
Exactly. And it's not just about internal alignment, you know?
What do you mean?
It's about communicating your why effectively to the outside world.
So it's not enough just to believe in something. You have to be able to articulate it to others.
Exactly. You have to be able to tell your story. And you need to build a platform that amplifies your message, that reaches the right people.
Okay, so how do you build this platform? Is it just about marketing and advertising?
It's more than that. It's about creating an ecosystem that reflects your why.
What do you mean by that?
It's about attracting people who believe what you believe, creating a culture that embodies your values, making sure everything you do reinforces that message.
It's almost like creating a movement. Like with the civil rights movement. It wasn't just about Dr. King.
Right.
It was about the thousands of people who shared his belief and took action.
Exactly. And that brings us to another interesting point from the book, the difference between what Sinek calls why types and how types.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about these why types and how types.
So why types, they're the visionaries.
The big picture people.
Yes, they see the world differently. They imagine what could be.
The dreamers.
Yeah, but they often need how types to actually make those dreams a reality.
So the how types are the doers, the ones who get things done.
Exactly. They're the builders, the ones who figure out the logistics and the details.
Like a partnership, you need both.
You do. You need the vision and the practical know-how to create something truly remarkable.
So the book is saying you need a balance of both.
You do. And Sinek uses this really great example in the book, Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs.
Oh, interesting.
Wozniak, he was the brilliant engineer.
So he was the Y type.
Yeah, he was the Y type, the one who saw the potential of personal computers. And Jobs, he was the marketing genius. He was the how type, the one who knew how to bring that vision to the world.
And together, they created Apple.
Exactly.
It's incredible how a shared belief and those complementary skills can lead to that level of innovation.
It really is. And it all starts with understanding each person's why.
You know, it's funny. When I think about my own work style, I'm definitely more of a Y type. I love brainstorming, coming up with big ideas.
Oh, I see that in you.
But I really rely on my team to help me with the how, to figure out the logistics and the details of making it all happen.
Makes sense. And I think that's the beauty of it. When you have a team of people who are all aligned around a common why, you can achieve some incredible things.
That's a good point. It's not just about individual success, it's about collective impact.
Exactly. And the book really emphasizes this idea of building a company or organization around a strong why.
And what does that do?
Well, it attracts people who are intrinsically motivated, people who are driven by a sense of purpose, not just a paycheck.
So they become your biggest champions. They spread your message, they build trust with the world.
Absolutely. And that's the power of starting with why. It's about understanding the power of purpose-driven leadership, connecting with people on a deeper level, building something that goes beyond just profits and products.
So what does this all mean for our listeners, the people who are out there trying to make a difference, to build something meaningful?
Yeah. What can they take away from this?
What's the big takeaway?
I think it's a call to action. The book is really encouraging us to find our own why, articulate it clearly, and live it authentically.
Don't just talk about it, be about it.
Right. And remember that success isn't just about achieving goals.
It's about making a contribution.
Inspiring others.
And leaving the world a little bit better than we found it. It's about finding work that gives us a sense of purpose. Building relationships with people who share our why. Making choices that reflect what we truly believe in.
It's about living a life that's aligned with our values.
So it's not just a business book.
No.
It's a life book.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really is about life in a way, isn't it? It's about understanding what gives us that sense of meaning, what gives us purpose, and then letting that drive, our actions, our decisions.
It's about being true to ourselves.
Yeah.
Letting that authenticity kind of shine through in everything that we do.
And it really is contagious, isn't it? Like when you see someone who's really living their why, it's inspiring.
Yeah.
And it makes you want to do the same.
For sure. It builds trust.
Yeah, it does.
It creates this ripple effect.
Yeah. It can change the world.
It's not just about finding our own why, though, right?
Yeah.
It's also about recognizing the why of others.
Absolutely.
Like the why of the companies and the organizations that inspire us.
That's so important. Because when you understand why you're drawn to a certain brand or a leader or a movement, you can make better decisions. You can build stronger relationships.
It's like finding your tribe,
Yes.
the people who get you on a deeper level.
You're finding your people.
Yeah.
So how do we go about actually finding the why of others? Is it something that you just ask outright? Or is it more about observation?
I think it's a little bit of both. Sometimes a company will explicitly state their why.
Yeah.
Their mission, their reason for being.
Right.
But often you have to kind of uncover it by looking at their actions, their messaging, their culture. It's about looking beyond the what and the how and trying to understand the deeper motivations behind what they do.
It's like being a detective almost.
It is.
Yeah.
You're piecing together clues
Yeah.
to try to reveal that underlying belief.
And the book gives us some great examples of companies that have done an incredible job of this, of communicating their why.
Oh, yeah. Huh?
Companies like Apple.
Southwest Airlines, Harley-Davidson.
Classic examples.
Sinek really breaks down how those companies built their success on this foundation of why. It's not just about their products. It's about the belief that those products represent.
The feeling they evoke.
Yeah, the feeling.
In their customers.
Think about the people who have Harley-Davidson logos tattooed on their bodies.
It's wild.
That's incredible.
They're not just fans of motorcycles. They've connected with Harley's why on such a deep level that it's become part of their identity.
Yeah, it's a statement. It's a symbol.
Freedom.
Rebellion.
Individuality.
Yeah, and that kind of loyalty, it's like most companies can only dream of that.
I know.
And it's not an accident. It's the result of really consciously building a brand around a strong why.
Absolutely.
So as we kind of wrap up our deep dive into Pygus, start with why.
Yeah.
What's the one thing that you hope our listeners take away from this conversation?
I hope they're inspired to ask themselves why. Yeah. Why do I do what I do? What gets me out of bed in the morning? What's my driving force? I think once you discover your why, you unlock this power to inspire, to create, to make a real difference in the world.
That's awesome.
It is.
I love that. Well, Start With Why is definitely a book that stays with you.
It does, long after you finish it.
A huge thanks to you for joining us on this deep dive, and to all of our listeners tuning in to Books on the Mic. And remember, keep asking why. It might just lead you to something amazing.